Thank you all for tuning in today to the live broadcast of the Launch Incubator. We'll be starting soon. Check. Check, check. Check, check.
Check, check. Could you have everybody in the front rows phone number in case they want to get a coffee? Because I'm going to get a Starbucks.
Sure. Well, actually, Cece does want a coffee.
So we're going to go. What's up, Rockstar? Hey, nice to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Any of you guys want a cup of coffee?
Yes.
From Starbucks? You want something?
You're a gentleman.
What do you want?
Just a black coffee.
Black coffee?
What?
Le Croix?
Yeah, I'll take one of these.
We have a millennial in the building. Can we get some Le Croix? All right, everybody. Welcome to Launch Incubator 9. It's our 10th class, actually. We had 2 sections once. This is a little different than other accelerators or incubators you have probably been to. Oh my God, Ryan is so happy right now. Look at that smile. Oh, nothing like a Silicon Valley millennial plus La Croix. Oh, happiness, joy. So as time has progressed, we've been optimizing what we do here in the accelerator. We're going to call it an accelerator in the new year because we no longer accept companies that are trying to find product market fit 0 to 1. All the companies in our accelerator have customers, have products that are completed, and have teams that are, on their way to being completed. The companies here have all raised, I think, under $1 million. In most cases, probably hundreds of thousands. Our program is 12 weeks. Unlike other programs out there for the VCs in the front row and then some, how many people are here from the syndicate? Raise your hand if you're from the syndicate. So about 3 or 4 people from the syndicate. Y'all can jump the line and just make a reservation if you're in the syndicate and have a guaranteed reservation because the deals are filling up now from time to time. You can do that with Demont. For the VCs and seed funds in the front row, you can meet these companies today, tomorrow, next week, invest in them, and there's no need to wait. We don't create this artificial demo day. You FOMA have to invest or else you miss it. So they're going to talk for just 3 minutes about their company. This is the trailer of the company. It's not intended to be the 30-minute presentation or 20-minute presentation they give you in your office with 20 minutes of Q&A. This is the trailer. So just like movie trailers, most of the movie is missing. So we don't need your feedback on what's missing or your preference. Why didn't you start with the problem? Why didn't you start with the team slide? Why didn't you start with the market size? Every VC or investor has a different idea. What we're really looking for is your questions about the business itself, your big brains on, and your signaling on what the challenges will be for these companies. We did 55 investments this year. We'll do 100 next year. 50 next year from the syndicate and 50 from the fund in incubator companies. The incubator companies get $100,000 right now for 6%. We invest in at least half the companies coming out of here. We do the syndicate for a little bit more. The syndicate at Jason's syndicate, we left Angel List 30 or 40 investments ago, now has 2,700 members, and we've done, I think the largest deal was $2.2 million. So if you think about our firm, it's like Web Summit, TechCrunch, Disrupt, whatever, like a media company at the top of the funnel, free stuff. Then we have the incubator. Then we have the syndicate. So the incubator is sort of like Y Combinator. Then you have the syndicate, which is sort of like Angel List, and our fund, which sort of makes us like Homebrew or any other seed fund. So kind of got the full stack, even including investing in Series A and Series Bs. First up is Grin. They have 3 minutes on the clock. Then you're all going to ask a question. You can skip if you want asking a question, but you'll all ask your questions in a row, and then the founder will respond to you all at once. That makes it more difficult for them and more entertaining for me. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, 2.5, go.
Meet Hunter, the director of marketing at Ellie, a popular clothing brand with young women. Influencer marketing has quickly become the most important piece of Ellie's advertising strategy because the content they create is engaging and cost-effective. And they work with a lot of influencers to create content, creating 3,600 pieces every month. And it's complex for Hunter to manage. He uses a variety of different tools to manage a program of this scale, none of which talk to each other very well. And it leaves him stressed out. Until one day he comes across Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. Intrigued, he clicks it and signs up. And within 30 days, his content creation process goes from this to this. I'll show you how it works for Hunter and his team. First, he uploads his roster of 1,800 influencers. Second, he connects his e-commerce platform, email, and Slack with one click. Once connected, we automatically sync and start tracking all of his communication. We go out to the social networks and aggregate his branded content and put it into a searchable library. We show him who he needs to follow up with and who's behind on content deadlines. Attribute content-based revenue across the whole program because we connect to his e-commerce platform. Help him collect W-2s, manage payments at scale, and a whole lot more. And with Grin, Hunter's able to get 10x the content in half the time. And he's stoked. He crushes his KPIs, probably gets a promotion. My name's Brandon. I'm the CEO of Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. Before Grin, I built the Opinion Leader program for Red Bull in Los Angeles. We're in the middle of a massive shift of consumer attention where traditional channels are on the decline and mobile social is on the rise. And in this environment, smart brands understand that the customer journey begins with content. The average customer engages with 11 pieces of content prior to making a purchase, and content marketing will be worth over $400 billion as an industry by 2021. And the truth is that influencer content is the most engaging and cost-effective to generate at scale. And so this has created a new discipline that didn't exist a few years ago. This is influencer marketing search term. A few years ago, it didn't exist on Google. And now there are 108,000 influencer marketing managers on LinkedIn and 28,000 open jobs on ZipRecruiter. It's a massive opportunity that's being driven by a fundamental shift in consumer behavior. We have 100 paying companies using Grin today, brands like Movement Watches, Diff Eyewear, and Ellie Activewear. We're currently at 730,000 in ARR, and we've been growing at 17% a month for the last 12 months. We're Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing, and we're powering content for the world's best brands. Thanks.
Okay, well done. As part of our move into an accelerator, I asked all the founders to track a metric or two and share it with us week over week to see their progress. What is Grin tracking and why?
ARR. So 2 weeks ago, ARR is our most important metric. 2 weeks ago, we had some delinquent accounts that we weren't tracking that came off, so we had a significant dip. Now we've since recovered from then, so we're up 2.5% versus prior week.
Okay, well done. Questions from our judges, and you'll give your questions and feedback in a row.
Delien, you want to start and then also introduce yourself, average check size, and then any kind of focus on.
Sure. I'm Delien. We're at Coastal Ventures, and my colleague here is with me as well. Average check size, I guess in seed stage, we tend to do like $1 to $3 million. In terms of fund focus, pretty broad, but tend to try to focus on things that are sort of deep technological advantages. We're comfortable doing everything from rocket ships to satellites, but we also do, developer tools like GitLab. I guess my question or feedback would be, I'm curious how you guys help with the actual influencer discovery process and whether that's something you guys are focused on.
Hi, Cece Chang. I'm with Makers Fund. We're a brand new fund, just launched in April. Early stage, mostly focused on Series A, average check size 1 to 5 million. Our focus is interactive entertainment, so we do a lot of gaming, underlying technology, content deals. My question here is, are you prescriptive at all in how they should be improving what they're doing, or is it mostly tracking and analytics?
Josh Stein with DFJ. We probably average about a $5 to $10 million average check size on the venture side. Our growth fund will do 30 to 40, but we also do a fairly active seed program and go down as low as 250 to 500K. I'm a former sales guy and focus on SaaS, so my question would be largely around what's your ACV and how big do you get that see that getting? Because in our experience, it can be hard to grow significant businesses if there's not an ability to go up market with 6- and 7-figure deals over time.
So my name's Ryan. I work full-time at Product and AngelList and on the side invest out of Weekend Fund, 50 to 100K check size. I'm curious to know more about, there's a lot of attention around influencer marketing in the past 3 or 4 years or so, as your chart showed. But is it temporary? Are algorithms and traditional just advertising through Instagram and Facebook and their tools going to ultimately win out? I'm curious to hear more of your thoughts about that.
Hi, I'm Andy with Comet Labs. We're an early stage, so that's first money and usually up through Series B, usually 1 to 2 million. Focused on AI, machine learning, and robotics, usually for industrial applications. I'm probably the worst human being in the world to ask questions around influencer marketing. So I guess the big question I'd have is, like, what is the big vision for Grin, and how do you see this? How do you see it expanding beyond what you're able to do today?
3, 2, go.
Thanks. I'll start with the big vision because that's a fun question, Andy. So today we're about influencer content and the organic distribution of that content. In the future, we're coming for the whole marketing mix. So I could see us being the Marketo of the future that facilitates content around the whole marketing mix. Is influencer marketing a fad and is it temporary? It's a great question. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around it. You have to think of influencer marketing where the real value is in the content. Obviously, there's distribution there, but what we're seeing is that the smart brands that really have it unlocked, like Movement Watches and Diff Eyewear and some of our great customers, are using this content and putting paid media budgets behind it, using it in owned social, using it in PR. So content is not a fad, and that's how I think about the influencer channel. Cheap way to get great content. ACVs, how big can they get? ACVs, a little bit of a struggle right now for us. The highest ACVs are around 40K. Average ACV last month's 12.8K. I see us growing that. In my hair, like in the crosshairs, I could see it getting to about 80, 90K right now. And then beyond that, I think we'll grow by expanding into other departments, getting some of the paid media budget, some of the affiliate budget. But this is like a long-term vision thing.
That's higher than I would have thought, so that's great.
Great, thank you. How do we help them improve? So we have a whole reporting and analytics section around content that influencers are generating. So because we connect to Shopify, WooCommerce, and Magento, we're the only ones that do that. We can show revenue to the influencer level and at the piece of content level. So we show them who's working and show them who they should double down on and how to get lookalikes. Was that the end? No? Okay.
You'll hear these wood clackers when you have 10 seconds.
Oh, I thought I heard it. Yeah, my apologies. The last question was around discovery. How do you help? So we have a search engine in there. I don't look at it as like a differentiator for us. Everybody has a search engine. So we help with inbound, managing applications, and also outbound recruitment. So thanks.
One pro tip, address people by their name. Ryan, great question. Boom. Okay, let's hear it for Grin. And welcome, Blackthorn. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building mobile payments for the enterprise. So the problem with taking a payment in person as a business is that it's not tied to your business's data. It's not tied to your database. So here's Mike. He just finished his service on site. It's time for him to get some money. Does he take cash? Does he write the card numbers down on paper? Does he call back to the office with a card? Does he use Square? No, because that's not going to be tied to his business's data. Someone has to deal with that and reconcile it later. So in this case, he's working with Salesforce's field service mobile app, and this would be playing, okay? And our app works with this application. He pulls up this app to then say he's finished his work order. He creates a charge for the amount that he's charging the customer. And with a tap, he then is able to open up our application. It preloads all of the data. He picks how he wants to pay. He wants to pay with the card reader. He turns on the card reader, and as soon as it turns to blue, here's the card reader if you want to play with that little guy. It then is able to do a swipe, a dip, or a tap of the reader. He can then hand the phone over to the customer to enter the receipt, and one tap back into the application. So why is this important? There's one source of data, which is Salesforce in this case, but it can work with other databases. So there's no future reconciliation, and it's tied contextually to your database. You get reduced rates, usually about 0.2% at scale. That's a lot of money. It's PCI compliant, which is a hot topic of anybody taking any kind of card payments. It's a fluid process, so it's very easy to scale to multi-thousand user deployments. And there's no competition at this moment in Salesforce, and in the greater scheme, there's no one that's really going after mobile payments specifically for businesses with database issues like this. So we released a integration on Salesforce that we call Blackthorn Payments between Salesforce and Stripe about 2 years ago, and we recently converted it to paid. We now have over 40 customers that are now paying. It was initially free. And 3 weeks ago, we released our mobile payments app working in conjunction with Stripe on an alpha they had for mobile payments. The House of Blues and Armstrong, which is a field service company, are now both trialing the application. In the future, we're evaluating doing white labeled payments as well as focusing on other CRMs and doing payments without a CRM. So our ideal customer profile is a mobile workforce of at least 10 employees, which represents about 15,000 per account. If you're not familiar with the field service space, GE acquired ServiceMax for $922 million, and Salesforce released Field Service Lightning 3 years ago. It's now a $100 million product line for them. So our team leans, we all have extensive experience in our domains, and we have a supporting team that also works on iOS, full stack, Salesforce, and of course our support. With our Salesforce integration app, we've pushed about 100 million through the app with the bulk in the last 8 months. And with our traction, we've got just over 560K ARR, and we think we can do another 60, 65K by the end of the year. I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building mobile payments for the enterprise.
Okay, well done. Tell us, what metrics are you tracking during the incubator and why?
Closing deals, the most important one. We got 26K last week. A lot of things that we've been working on were able to come in, and we opened a few new trial installs and opportunities.
Okay, let's take questions from our judges.
Yeah, is there any proprietary or defensible technology in your company?
The simple question, how do you acquire users?
I'm not totally clear on the differentiation between you versus just using Stripe natively through an API call. So maybe if you could expand on sort of why you're necessary in the middle.
What are the most common reasons that customers turn you down?
Are you charging like transaction fees or just what the actual like revenue model is?
All right, so Andrew, defensible. The big difference is that with the way that our app is constructed, the whole system is managed within Salesforce. So for these individual databases, you don't have to leave the system to be able to manage it. So you can do refunds, it does reconciliation, everything within the database. So the back end is where the defensibility is, not in the mobile app so much. How do we acquire users? So Salesforce, the benefit of being on a platform is that the users largely come to you, and we've been co-selling with Salesforce with their pre-sale team to go after all those deals. We were just recently introduced to Best Buy Canada, and Stripe actually brought us a massive deal, which is $1 million ARR that we're working on now. It hasn't closed, it would be in our metrics, but we're working on that one now. Josh, Stripe natively in the middle. So a company could build this, right? Stripe has built out their API. That's how companies work with them. But what I've seen is that a lot of companies don't want to deal with that. They don't have an in-house iOS developer. They don't want to deal with the back end with some of their own systems. They want to just plug something in and get rolling. And that's why we're working on actually with this other company with them. So the reasons of saying no, it hasn't been no yet in the conversations we've actually had, CC. It's been more about this is something new to them. So a lot of people are still actually taking cash and checks. So it's more about adoption of their current systems and then moving to something like this. So it's a little slower process, but it hasn't been a clear no. And in terms of percentage, how do we actually charge? So we're giving customers options. So the House of Blues, we offered them $49 a user a month. And for the other bigger company, they wanted it to go against their operating costs. So we offered them a percentage, which is based upon BIPs at very high volume. So based upon the model and how many users they have, they both end up being pretty lucrative. And if you do the math, it works out to be the same thing. It just depends on what they want. Cool. Thanks.
Okay, well done. Let's hear it for Blackthorn, and welcome Ballooner. We'll put 3 minutes on the clock for Ballooner. In 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Amanda Greenberg. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ballooner. Our business tools and processes, meetings, email, Slack, don't address the way our brains actually work in a group setting. They don't account for things like louder, more senior voices dominating conversations. And people hold back their best ideas or their most valuable, authentic feedback because of a fear of failure or judgment. And as a result, companies don't get the right data, and this costs companies billions in really bad decision-making, stalled innovation, and huge decreased productivity. We built Ballooner, which is an anonymous collaborative platform that accelerates time to wisdom and really creates that meritocracy. Here's high level how it works. So one of our customers, Christine, a product owner at BMW, needs to prioritize feature ideas for an upcoming build. So she selects a flight, which is a set of questions. This one's for feature prioritization. She then invites her team, and they go together through a special stage flow where they're anonymously creating and launching balloons, which are the ideas, the feedback. They're doing this without anchoring bias, interruptions, or fears. They then discuss those balloons without titles, identities, pleasantries, courtesies getting in the way. They complete a merit-based vote without groupthink. And when the flight's done, the results are revealed. So Christine has a surfaced and prioritized list of the top feature ideas. She also has access to a Ballooner score, which gives her information around buy-in and approval. And although Ballooner is anonymous, users are able to remove anonymity and claim their contribution. So people are so motivated to contribute knowing that they can get credit. And here's what Christine shared with us, that we helped her surface and prioritize new feature ideas that ultimately improved customer experience. Ballooner is used by teams and companies of all different sizes across many different industries. These are some of our paying customers. And here are some additional customer success stories. So Capital One has used Ballooner to identify barriers to advancement and development, saying that they're shocked by the humanness of information surfaced on Ballooner. The LA Angels have improved scouting, player development. And Dartmouth has reduced meeting time by 70%, saying that once you use Ballooner, it's impossible to imagine doing things the old way. We're selling SaaS subscriptions. We're landing and expanding. We're at around 250K ARR, projected to hit 500K in Q4 of this year with a $4 million pipeline, majority of which has been inbound. And the opportunities in front of us are huge. We're surfacing new, unique, critical data, so the big opportunity is a platform play, leveraging our true data set, which to date has been unreachable. We're a Dartmouth Carnegie Mellon founding team. We've built and designed apps for IBM, Bloomberg, even the Dalai Lama. My background is in research, led big projects, big teams. I'm Amanda, we're Ballooner. We're ballooning unreachable knowledge. Thank you so much.
Okay, well done. And what metric is Ballooner tracking?
Yes, so we've been focused on priming the market for about a year and a half, and really all those customers have been inbound. Just about a month ago, we started outbound, so we're tracking outbound to demo conversion. We very much hit our goal the first month, and it was overwhelming, too many demos. So we stopped, and we added on additional personas recently. So we've started going from marketing, sales, product into sports teams. So that's why there's that drop. We're also gearing up to launch a new version of our product this month. So we're transitioning current customers over. And so those 2 close and those 5 negotiating are all on new product.
Great. Let's take questions from our judges.
You have a pretty diverse set of customers that you listed here. I'm curious how you would identify or define who tends to be sort of your champion or internal person that pushes you through. Is it a business owner? Is it the HR department? Is it somebody adopting it at a lower level that's surfacing it to their manager? Who tends to be your champion?
Can you talk a little bit about the pricing structure?
Building on Delian's question, who's typically the buyer? What's the title of the person who's actually authorizing the purchase? And do they have existing budget?
Those are great questions because I have the same. How do you feel about, prioritization by democracy? And do you think this tool is actually good for people?
Yeah. And mine, I guess, is tailing on that. Is what KPIs are you tracking inside of your customers? Like satisfaction indexes, or what's the definition of success inside of a company for Ballooner?
2 minutes on the clock to answer if democracy is good for people. 3, 2, go.
Andrew, first in terms of how are we measuring success within customers? So a few things. One, time saved. So we're kind of at the intersection of collaboration, surveying, productivity. So time saved, new ideas, new information, new feedback that they haven't been able to get other ways. So just breaking down those walls. So looking at those 2 different things, that's what our case studies focus on, et cetera. Is it good for people? Yes, absolutely. So completely research-based. My background was in science translation, research translation. So our product has a very, it has a foundation in science and research and data for consensus-based decision-making. How do you cut through these different biases that get in the way of how organizations best operate, how they best lead, how they best innovate, all those different things very much built into our product. So people are motivated, they get credit, it's a meritocracy, but also leaders just know what's out there, what people really think, what they really feel, which is so powerful versus false starts, all this wasted time. I could talk about that forever. Okay. Title of the buyer and who's really, so core of business, line of business, VP, director, manager level, somewhat bottom up in that way, but we don't have like people who are more entry level showing their manager this product. Very much people who are overseeing a group. So head of program management, head of product owners, service owners, et cetera, is really who we see buying. And do they have budget? Interesting question. So yes, somewhat. We are being put into budgets that are upcoming. People find budget initially, but we're being placed in those budgets from there. I think that's how I would answer it. Very much a new market. So when we first demo to people, they say, we see all these different ways to use your product in our company tomorrow. Figuring out what that path is important. Okay, I think pricing. So, okay. SaaS model, per user per month, billed annually, ranges from $5 per user per month all the way up to $20 per user per month, depending on, whatever, like the size, et cetera. So thank you so much.
Okay, well done. Next up, Invaluable Metrics, a founder we're investing in. For the second time, some of you might remember Space Monkey from the Launch Festival, I don't know, 2012. Yeah. 6 years ago. One of the things we love to do is invest in the arc of a founder's career through multiple companies. We've now done that a half dozen times. 3 minutes on the clock in 3, 2, go.
All right, thank you. My name is Clint Gordon-Carroll. I'm CEO of Tribal Metrics. We are helping you grow high-performing teams. It's October, which means in companies all over the world, a ritual has been kicked off by either managers or HR, and teams are told to do their end-of-year performance reviews, okay? We equate that to medieval torture, and we think that that's true in many, many organizations. Our goal is to show you that in the the old world of spending as a manager 20 to 30 hours or 40 hours on the end-of-year review process can be done in seconds with pulse surveys that we send out throughout the entire year in your workspace. So in this case, Slack, we integrate into Slack, and we ask one question. It's like an NPS question. It's, simply, is Clint currently performing at a high level? And then on the back end of what we do, we have some very significant amount of algorithms similar to like PageRank and machine learning and some different things that allow us to see new insights into your business more than just the performance. So let me introduce you to Lauren. Lauren is a manager. She has a team of 10 people. At the end of the year, she comes to do her end-of-year review or quarterly review. She comes to our dashboard and she clicks the download button. This is fantastic because she now does a performance review for an individual in about 5 minutes, maybe adds a few additional notes. But because we've been collecting these data points all throughout the year and collecting data when things go well, when things go bad, and then getting additional information as well, she can pull this report in a matter of minutes as opposed to the hours that it took before. Let me show you how this all kind of comes about. So we ask this question, when things are going bad, when things maybe, my performance is dipping, we ask a question around, hey, what are some of the things that she could do better? And we nudge the manager to do a one-on-one, letting them know, hey, communication came up as one of the issues that some of your folks have seen as a problem. We also can see flight risk, and this is where the kind of machine learning and some of the interesting data that we're collecting. So Lauren is, this is actually a real experience that we had just about a month ago. This is Jane. Jane is a top engineer. She was rated really highly, and these purple points are her points. You can't see the projector, but there's a bunch of gray points in there as well. She's being rated really highly. She's a high performer. But her attitude had changed. And one of the things that our algorithm started picking up was how she was rating other people in her organization. Turned out that they were changing negatively at the same point in time when she had a management change and she had a new manager, new lead on a new project. So we were able to detect that and pass that off to the manager, and they were able to look at it. We're a SaaS business with a lot of interesting features. Like mentioned before, we're the team that developed Space Monkey, exited in 2014, now leading Tribal Metrics. Thank you.
Done. And what are you tracking?
Yeah, so we are tracking. We're tracking growth. We launched right at the beginning of. We're kind of the baby of the incubator or the accelerator, but we are the baby of the incubator. We're tracking active users on the system and companies added. We had a big week this week. We added just over 200 new users. The team that we added actually is 800, so we only got to onboard 200 this week, but next week we should be able to onboard the next 600. And what was exciting was all salespeople. It was a total sales group. So
great. And one tip for all the founders here, when you're showing the metrics, if we've learned anything, never apologize.
Yep.
Never give a preamble. Just stay what the facts are, and that's it. Because we've never, ever, make any mistakes, Everything's perfect. We're just winning. Feedback from our judges. Tremendous feedback.
Yeah, always winning. Two-part question. Sorry. I guess I can apologize. No, I don't. I never apologize.
Never apologize.
Who's getting the surveys, and does your technology protect against bias against individuals?
Yeah, great question. How do employees feel about it? I can see some people liking it, but also feeling like they're being watched and judged every day.
Sorry, I'm here late. I'm going to apologize. My name is Joanne. Foundation Capital, we are Series A, Series B fund. We also do some seed stage investing. Been around for 20-something years, 200 investments, 27 IPOs. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Oh, and you got to ask a question, too.
Oh, my question. Could you tell us a bit about user acquisition strategy? And also, there's a number of companies that kind of play in the space. Who do you see as competition?
Is it always the same question you ask with the same options, or do you vary that up based on your algorithm?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine one of the difficulties is actually just getting managers to input the data or to ask the questions on a regular basis. But can you also talk a little bit about what that process looks like, how long it takes, and if you are seeing that they're actually doing what they're supposed to do for your platform to work?
One comment and one question. The comment is, I'm surprised you didn't mention BlackRock, since this is essentially what they all do internally in terms of how they operate. And then you mentioned that your first group was basically like a sales team. I'm curious if you help them sort of correlate the data that they have in this system with, for example, sales data or something like that, and help them understand, what are the correlations in the data between high performers in sales and high performers on the behavioral metrics.
Great, thank you. These are great questions. In fact, I think it's getting better each week. So on correlation of data, we are tying into things like Workday and other, Salesforce and things like that. There's a ton of great data correlation. And that actually goes to the bias question. We can actually detect bias in our system because of how you rate different people in your team. And because these are 360 reviews, you're getting interesting data like, hey, tied into your HR system, how's somebody rating female workers or maybe somebody of another ethnicity. It's really fascinating, and we are able to nudge that data to managers so they can see where the problems are in the organization. How long it takes? It takes seconds. They download the bot, and we ask that one question over and over again. You get pinged probably once a day, up to twice a day, depending on the size of the team, and you're asked to review somebody random in the channel that you belong in. So you might be belonging to multiple channels. It's okay. We look for correlation of how active you are in that channel and how much you do, and then we ask you to rate or review somebody in that channel. So we focus on the organic team that is created through Slack, which is really fascinating, better than org charts, turns out. User acquisition and competition. Glint just got acquired. They probably I'd argue, is the closest to what we're doing. The problem that they have is engagement is really low in their system. Our engagement, for every question we ask, 83% of the time it's being answered. So that's huge. In an organization of 100 people, you're getting thousands of data points every single year. So at the end of the year, you're not just looking at one day's worth of work. You're getting a ton of interesting things. Ryan, how do employees feel? This is a tough one. We're still trying to nail that piece. There are times when employees are frustrated because they don't understand what their score means versus other things. As we continue to focus on that, we think we're empowering employees to be able to hand you a resume and say, hey, here's my score of what I accomplished the last 3 years, has a lot of power for an employee. So we really want to democratize employee performance reviews. Thank you.
Okay, well done. Just to be clear, Ryan is a socialist millennial La Croix drinker, so his questions are all going to be around socialism. It's a generational thing. Ryan and I are good friends. Ryan used to watch This Week in Startups when he was in high school 2 years ago. Okay, and now he's a venture capitalist, making Josh and I feel lazy and old. It's ridiculous, a 23-year-old venture capitalist. God, he's already sold his first company at 20. All right, next up, Panty Prop, 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Crystal, the CEO and founder of Panty Prop, and we have developed a feminine care solution for people who are not able to use alternatives such as tampons. Recent health studies have shown that girls are starting puberty as early as 9 years old, and most are unable to use a tampon. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because their bodies are physically unable to insert a tampon. And sanitary pads are completely ineffective. They're not useful for every day. And as I grew the company, I realized that the problem goes beyond teens. It's people that have special needs, women that have common medical health issues such as endometriosis, PCOS, or uterine fibroids, the disabled, or people that just have cultural or gender restrictions. Current typical pad products today are completely inefficient. They slip, they fail, they leak, and they cannot be used for everyday activities. So what we built was a patent-pending technology that's not only leak-proof, but it also will secure a pad perfectly in place and angled correctly under the cavity of the body to collect your flow immediately on onset. It's 100% comfortable, it's 100% effective, and you could wear it anywhere. So what we built basically is a all-in-one solution, simple as wearing a pair of jeans or leggings. We have underwear, swimwear, leakwear, and sleepwear that you can wear all day, every day. So we're bridging that gap between health, hygiene, and comfort, and we're the only company right now that is the in-between solution between pads and tampons. The sanitary care market is a $42 billion market that actually has gone up every single year, and it's one of the top 5 markets that survived the recession. Why? Because 50% of the population suffer from menstruation or incontinence. Our products are priced affordably for your regular soccer moms with a 75% gross margin. Our sales to date are $4.3 million in sales. And we're the only company compared to them, to us, that can blatantly and boldly make that statement, no tampon required. So what did we do? We solved the real problem of comfort discreet for any time, anywhere, and anyone. Our team is a team of 7, but the 3 of us accompany what the product is about. 20 years of business operations, 11 years in Procter & Gamble, and 7 years of fashion tech. So right now, we have built a $1 million company with the name Panty Prop, but we're going to build a $10 billion brand with the rebrand for new name and new assets. So join us in making proper feminine care for the world without any limitations.
Okay, well done. Tell us what metric are you tracking and why?
I'm tracking sales as always, because that's the most important. We're in October right now, which is our slowest month. So not only is it our slowest month, I guess no one wants to, give somebody a gift of menstrual products. We're actually creating like a gift box of all of our products to actually do that. And then we're also going through the rebrand right now so that we pulled back because we want our new assets and new name to be representative of what we're going for.
Right. So just for the entire class, talk about when you do these slides, since it's a new thing, talk about the metrics on the slide. We did X amount per week. As you can see, we peaked in this week because of X.
Yeah, so
we're now
normal,
between the summer and the gift-giving season, so there's a natural lull there, and we're rebranding. Boom.
Yeah, so normally from first quarter to third quarter, we usually do about $80,000 to $100,000 a week. Since we've pulled back on some of our things, since we're doing a rebrand at the current time, we're averaging about like $55,000 to $65,000 a week in October, and we expect in November, and then in December we are launching our subscription, which would be an add-on to our business model of what we have now.
Great. Let's take questions from our judges.
It sounds like you've innovated on the form factor, but I was curious if you've done any innovation on the actual like absorption materials or anything inside.
Do you have a sense of what your average LTV is? Repeat, how often your customers buy more products?
I couldn't tell from the product. Is there like a consumable element, like a disposable pad, or is all of the product within the garment?
It'd be awesome to get some more details around the $4 million in sales. As in, what are the products? Kind of who are the customers? The buying behavior, is it ongoing? Is it subscription like? And then what is your hypothesis around that cohort in terms of buying your new products?
To kind of go along with that, what is the distribution right now today and maybe in the future as well?
Yeah, and also along that, what is the cost per customer acquisition?
Great questions. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Yeah, so to address the absorbent material inside is something that I created with the factory in Ohio. All of our products are made in the USA. The only thing that is done outside is our packaging. Everything is created here in the US, and like I said, the main component of it is made and designed and developed in Ohio. As far as the LTV and our reorder rate, we have a 42% reorder rate every single month from customers. Our main core customer are moms with teen and tweens, and they don't only purchase one product. They purchase multiple, because what we did was we built a product that's an all-in-one that's just as easy as buying any fashion product that you can think of, but it just has a functionality to it. So when you want to think about it when you go shopping and you want to buy a red shirt and then you see the black one, you're going to buy the black, the red, and the purple. All women do, because we can't make up our minds. And then when you go, summertime comes, it's a new season, you're going to go back and you're going to buy the yellow shirt. And that's what our customers have been doing. They're loyal to us. They're organically helping us spread the word about it, and they're telling other customers. We have moms who have daughters that are on swim competitions or competitors, and they tell other moms, and then they just go and purchase that way. As far as distribution, right now, all of it is online, digital marketing, starting in May. Prior to that, it was mostly organic, with one person telling another person, another person telling another person. And our future plans of distribution is to continue with the route that we've been going with digital marketing. That's our main focus, to stay laser focused on that. And then to go into our new business model, which we're going to tackle teen health, which no one is doing, and we're creating a subscription plan.
Okay, well done. Big round of applause. And we'll welcome Tutor Me. And put 3 minutes on the clock. Beautiful. Yeah, not bad. Good enough. 3 minutes on the clock. In 3, 2, go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miles Hunter. Excuse me. My name is Miles Hunter, co-founder and CEO of TutorMe, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring. So not too long ago, when I was an undergrad at USC, I really struggled with being able to find an effective tutoring option. Like all colleges across the country, USC has a tutoring center that they provide free tutoring to all their students. But you actually have to go to the tutoring center. It's not always open. You have to actually schedule lessons in advance, and then there's limited core subjects, so they're not covering everything that you need help in. So our co-founders and I set out to create a solution to this problem. Fast forward to today, we've worked with a lot of universities, from your small community colleges all the way up to your large public institutions. And so for the university that we partner with, from the student perspective, how they access the platform is through a learning management system, which is a central student portal. So they would see it within one of their courses, click on the TutorMe button, then seamlessly go into the TutorMe platform. So when they actually go to the platform, they seamlessly log in, they type in what subject they need help in. Like for this case, they would type in accounting. Then they describe the problem, upload any relevant files. Then it go into our algorithm, the matching algorithm, where it finds like the best tutor at that time, and then it matches it with that tutor, typically under 30 seconds. The average wait time is about 18.2 seconds, actually, all time. So when they're actually in the lesson space, this is a proprietary lesson space that we created from the ground up that includes video and audio and a bunch of other tools that really try to mimic the in-person tutoring experience. So how do we make money? So previously mentioned, the model that is B2B2C is when we actually partner with the schools. Then they purchase hours and they offer to the students completely free. And then we have a B2C side of the site that's completely organic. That's just a subscription-based model where students go on and they pay out of pocket. So in terms of traction, we've partnered with 36 colleges to date. But what I'm most excited about is that none of those colleges have left. So we have zero churn, and we've done 50,000 plus hours of tutoring. In terms of revenue, 730,000 last year. We're on track to do 1.4 million this year. So students and admins both love us. So on the left, there's a testimonial from a student. They really are, TutorMe really is a lifeline for a lot of students, and for the admins, it really makes it easy for them to be able to provide 24/7 support in all subjects for all their students. In terms of market size, there's 4,700 US colleges with a really conservative 75,000 ACV. It's hard to calculate because they purchase hours on a pay-you-go basis. 20% of that would be 70 million in revenue. And that, of course, isn't including any B2C, any K-12 market, and any international market, so from all grade levels. My name is Miles Hunter, co-founder and CEO of TutorMe, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring.
Well done. Tell us, Miles, what metric are you tracking and why?
So the lifeblood of the company is tutoring hours. The more tutoring hours we do, the more money we make. So that's what we're tracking week over week. We started off pretty slow because it was just kind of the start of the school year. For most colleges, it's the end of August. It's kind of increased since then. We had kind of a slow week last week just because one of our larger schools actually didn't pay us on time. So we shut off the system for them. But we do that. We usually provide a credit for them, but the reason why we shut it off sometimes, even though because if it consistently happens, is because it comes up with a little modal for the student and says, hey, like your school's run out of hours. So then they have like 50 to 100 students typically emailing them and saying like, why did you turn that off? So then they really get like accounts payable working.
Powerful, very powerful. Reminds me of Time Warner, like asking you to call George Steinbrenner and ask him why you can't watch the Yankee game. It's a really great stuff in New York when they had the cable wars. Okay, questions from our judges.
I was a high school teacher and a tutor. Yeah, this is awesome, I think. I guess the only question I have is like, do the tutors think it's awesome? Like, do the tutors think it's a good platform to be tutoring?
What's your sales cycle like when you're selling to these schools, maybe in months, or any kind of data around that would be useful?
Congratulations on the growth so far of the business. Curious, what do you think are kind of the top two bottlenecks for growing even faster? Like if you wanted to do, hypothetically, 3 million in 2018, what would you have had to change?
I'm curious how the economic model and the splits work. Do you set pricing and take rates between the tutors, or is that set by the school?
I'm curious on the tutor side, how are you finding them? How are you vetting them? What does that process look like?
I'm curious how you judge the efficacy. Like, do you let the students provide feedback? Is there some sort of rating system? Do you weed out bad tutors?
So I'll start from the back. Dillian, so in terms of rating, we have a comprehensive rating system. So at the end of every lesson, we ask a multitude of questions to every tutor and the student. So there's a mutual rating system there, and so we're able to identify if a session went bad. So in terms of vetting, we do have a lengthy vetting process where we have them fill out an application, answer a bunch of mock questions, and they go into 3 to 5 mock demos with someone on our team. And they don't know it's a mock demo because that's kind of the point, is we want to see how they actually interact with real students. So Josh, in terms of pricing, the schools pay anywhere from $24 to $36 an hour. We pay our tutors $18 an hour, which we're set to actually decrease to $15 an hour once we get funded. And then in terms of bottleneck, Joanne, the biggest bottleneck I think would be quality assurance. So making sure that as we grow, we're actually, has to be a manual process to some degree, but you want to automate as much as possible, because when you have a lot of lessons, you need to make sure that there isn't cheating going on and there isn't any kind of weird stuff going on. So in terms of sales cycle, Ryan, sales cycle typically for a school is 4 to 6 months. So it's not as long as government, but it's not as short as some B2B. In terms of the tutors like it, Andrew, you can just go to Glassdoor and see like what our tutors say. It's really highly rated, especially for online tutoring space. That's typically what we tell customers, is to check out what students, and if you type in Tutor Me reviews, you'll see that there's only good things. So we also pay them a lot more than a lot of online tutoring sites. So they're pretty happy.
Well done. Big round of applause. And we'll welcome Loop. Demont, remind me, is it 7 or 8 this class? No, this is week 8 or 7? And we have 7 startups, or 8? Okay. We're trying to keep it to 7, and then we always wind up adding an extra one at the last minute because there's so many great companies we're finding. Okay, 3 minutes on the clock for Loop. 3, 2, go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Ginn. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Loop. Seems like in the online world is a place for virtually everyone to stay connected. But there's one missing, and it's huge, and it's right in our noses. Family. Loop's vision is to become the place where you stay connected with your family. Now, I know what you're saying. Wasn't there a thing called Path? Well, really, that was just your closest 100 friends. Oh, wait a minute, I use group messaging. Well, that's really just text and confined to small screens. Oh, wait a minute, I use Apple and everybody's got iPads. Well, when one person in your family gets Android, the whole system breaks down. What if I told you we've created something that connects everyone, is private, and dare I say, even fun? We have. Introducing Loop, the easiest and the best way to stay connected with your family. Take a look around. Let me show you how it works. So let's say you're out with your family and you capture this gorgeous little picture of your kids. You want to share it with your family. Do you post it to Facebook? No, of course you don't. You post it to Loop. You simply grab the picture, add a short message, press send. Instantly it shows up in your mom's house, your dad's house, and even your own kitchen. And of course, anyone you've invited into the app. You can share pictures, videos, message, and even video chat. It's a complete family communication system that's private. So we built it. Does anyone care? So we put up a website with a buy button. We did $1 million in sales in just under 12 weeks. Best Buy liked it. Decided to put it in 50 stores across the country. We sold out that in 4 weeks. So who are these crazy customers? Let me show you Monica, classic customer. 2 kids under the age of 10. Monica bought 3 loops for her family. But those people bought other loops. Total of 8 loops and 21 app downloads, and we made money from this. Then there's Tyler. No kids. Family lives in Minnesota. Wants an easy way to stay connected. And I'm happy to say our first Gen Z, this teenager, punk. And kids love it. We're seeing some early viral signals. Our average order size is 2.6 units, over $500. And for every loop that went active, we saw 3 apps that go active. Our core users, a third of our users, use this like their family communication system. They go into it multiple times per week. Our business model, we sell hardware, about $200 for the hardware itself. We sell them in multiples, but we also have a recurring system that's coming up in Q1 and some really great opportunities for one-time purchases with digital and print. We got a great team. I've built a $100 million business myself in the past. My co-founder Ethan's from RISD and Altitude. And Satal here used to run Words with Friends, which is still the world's most popular mobile game. We're Loop, your family network.
Okay, well done. I'm curious what metric you're tracking.
It's weekly sales. So we did 2.2K last week. We just started up our sales, grew 75%. Our target is to double each week, almost on track. You can see the blue is actual, the forecast is red. Our goal is to beat our weekly sales peak of $125,000 we did last year before Christmas.
These are pre-sales because you're doing another run of
units.
units.
You can't even get the product for 8 weeks.
Got it. So this is a difficult sale to make because you're not getting the product delivered.
Yeah,
within 2
they
days.
really have to be committed.
Got it. Okay, let's take questions from our judges.
Do you allow people to use the software without the hardware?
Can you talk about the distribution for the hardware itself? Do you have any potential partners down on the roadmap?
Just another vote for, is it possible to do it without the hardware? Just consumer hardware is brutal.
Can you talk about the cost structure and unit economics of each unit?
So Portal, of course, was just announced, and there's also some other startups with similar types of products. Can you talk about the competition and market in general?
Yeah, hardware is brutal, but it can also be magic when it happens. I've seen it from afar. And so I'm interested so in the Best Buy experience, like, just what was your journey around like in-store messaging, and how effective were you? Did you sell any units in Best Buy? And what was that like in attracting attention in a retail setting?
2 minutes. Okay, cool. So can you use the Loop app without the hardware? Absolutely. And 3 times as many people use the app as actually just have the hardware. That being said, whenever somebody gets the hardware, their engagement goes through the roof. The payoff of an app is likes. Loop's payoff is the likes you get from your family, and then when you see it on your own screen. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it myself. So it's really actually kind of cool. I wanted to add one step breather because I think we're going to be able to have time for this. One thing that might be interesting about this product, it's something we call social hardware, connects to distribution. We may be able to sell this hardware virally through the app. 3 people download the app. Those people I market to, they buy the Loop. They're already engaged. They buy the hardware. It jumps family to family. Private social networks. Look at what Nextdoor is doing. Hardware's hard. So it kind of relates to hardware's hard. I've got the operations team from Dropcam and Nest. They don't think hardware's hard. Just bluntly, software is way harder and way more expensive after we've already done it. Best Buy, we actually, they gave us an unbelievable deal. And so that's why we took it, because we were way early for Best Buy. They did have Loop out in the open, and you could see it and touch it. We learned from that, and I probably won't do retail for another 4 quarters until I get another unbelievable deal from them. Because it actually takes a ton of manpower and work to really make it work. And there's so much more money you can make offline. I think we could do $50 million before we ever do retail again. Cost structure, about $100 to make the Loop. Sell it for about $250. Customer acquisition cost about $100. I'm going too far, but yeah. I got 10 seconds. What was I know there was one more. Market, competition. Facebook. We are competing directly with Facebook. Our focus is family, and we're going right after them.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's give a big round of applause to Loop and welcome Taffy. Okay. 3 minutes on the clock. Has the baby come yet?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Any
Not
day
my
now?
baby.
Any week now?
Any week now.
Got it. 3, 2, go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dennis with Taffy, and we're the SaaS company built to connect innovators in tomorrow's healthcare industry. So what is tomorrow's healthcare industry? Well, yesterday, it was paper files, paper charts gathering dust. And then we went to electronic medical records, and it led to an explosion in healthcare data access. And so we went from 0 bytes to something like over 700 exabytes today, and it's just too much for hospitals to do anything with. So this has, it's been things like prescriptions, monitoring equipment, labs, all kinds of things. And so it's led to a secondary explosion in vendors who are trying to deliver insights from this data where the hospitals can't. And tomorrow's healthcare industry is where we can use multiple sources of data to blend together and create a holistic digital representation of a patient. So the innovators who are doing this are doing amazing things like claims, analytics, chronic care management, smart prosthetics, but they all have a big problem. This is what healthcare data looks like. It's not easily readable by human or machine. And to solve this problem, the industry has created a lot of standards. Today, we use about 36 of them, which means that there are no standards. And so when these innovators go to a new healthcare system and want to integrate with an EMR, they have to get involved in every step of the process. They get data out, they normalize it, they store it before they can use it. And then they have to staff up and repeat this process over and over and over again when they go to new hospitals. With long and expensive implementation processes, it becomes a big barrier to scale. And so when Taffy comes in, our software handles all the back-end messy work, and we can allow the innovator to focus on developing and selling their product. They connect to us once, and then we can stand them up in new sites quickly within weeks, not months. We've helped several customers, allowing them to demonstrate value quickly, and we are able to connect to over 70% of the EMR market today, and we've got about $200,000 in annual revenue. Our team is deep in health IT expertise with the major healthcare vendors, medical record vendors, and our business team keeps the tech focused, and our advisors are fantastic. They represent many of the stakeholders in the industry today. We're Taffy, and we're liberating healthcare data. Thank you.
Okay, well done. And what metric are you tracking and why?
Sure. A couple things we track. The first is tech calls. It's kind of our analog to demos. Not everybody needs a demo with our product, and so it helps us figure out how our funnel is moving. And then we also track how people use the product, so authentications, how many people are logging in every week.
Okay, let's take questions from our judges.
Yeah, this is a pretty competitive space, and just similar question as before. Like, what do you have any technology differentiation from the other competitors?
This looks really hard. Why are you working on this?
That's a good question. Could you talk about the integration implementation process? What does that look like, and what kind of resources do you have to deploy?
I'm curious if there's any network effects as you get more deployment. Does that create some sort of barrier to fast following competition?
Same question as Joanne.
I'm curious if any of the EMRs have been resistant to give you access, and whether or not the customers sort of have had to fight for you, and if that prevents some implementations.
Okay, sounds good. Andrew, the tech difference is, I think, our architecture. So a lot of the old ways of solving these problems were direct one-to-one integrations, and that's kind of how things have been. So nobody has really built a process like this. And so for existing competitors to do so, they'd have to change a lot in their architecture, and it's just not too feasible. We don't have IP around the product yet, but there are things in the roadmap. Ryan, yeah, it is hard. A couple of founders, Kevin and Paul, were deeply connected to this process. One was coding this stuff, and one was running the implementations, and they saw how hard it was, and that's why they got together and figured out a better way to do it. And so most of the team, I think all the team, has a pretty close connection to healthcare, so it's a definitely emotional connection to the industry as well. And this is the hard one to do it, so if we can do it here, then we can do it in other industries. Joanne, the implementation process, pretty easy. A lot of our software runs the mapping and everything, so where other vendors take 30 hours to set this up, ours takes about 4. It brings the resources down quite a bit. And yeah, pretty slim. Josh, network effects. I wish there were more. We can't share patient data as much, but there are learnings to be had, and then we're seeing that hospitals tend to like groups of vendors that come in together, so they can kind of pick and choose. And if they're already connected to us, maybe they can connect a little bit more quickly. So that is something that we're looking at. And then Delian, The EMRs definitely have an idea about charging vendors a lot of money to go through the API marketplaces and whatnot. Because our team is very well connected and they understand the EMR as well, we can sidestep a lot of that stuff without really ticking them off. We work closely with them still, and it's just part of the process. So it works. Thank you.
Okay, well done. The proper way to clap is low stress. You're making the founders jump. So many things to learn. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to pick your number 3, your number 2, and then your number 1 startup. We track this every semester. We track your questions, and we do this because it crushes the souls of founders and creates a competitive environment where people strive to do better, also known as the real world. Our job is to let people know exactly how they're tracking. If their presentation sucks, they get no votes. If people are confused, they get no votes, and then they get better. This is week 7. Am I right? So they're about halfway through, and so you're getting to see them with a pretty tight presentation. I think you'd all agree. The benefit of coming earlier is you get first shot at the companies. We're starting to see 1 or 2 companies every class close their seed rounds before graduation, which is great. And then 2 or 3 don't raise money during the program on purpose. They have money already, they're profitable, whatever. And then the other ones tend to do it right after. So go ahead and awkwardly turn around, and maybe we can pull these tables back a little bit so they have a little bit of room, and face the audience for our judges. Thanks. I know this is super awkward, but we want them to be able to see your feedback. Okay, so just turn your chairs right around. Yeah, stay where you are, just turn your chairs around. Face the, perfect. Okay. Third, it's interesting because we track all these metrics over time, and we start to see different groups go up and down. Exactly. It's exactly like tribal in a way. So this is through the lens of what you would invest in, the most investable to you. So the most socialist, Ryan, most, least democratic, most, I'm joking. Okay, so you're going to give me your number 3, your number 2, your number 1. Jason DeMont is going to keep score. So I want you to just give me your number 3 and your number 2. Third place, half a point. Second place, full point. First place, the money ball, you get 2 points. So we're just going to do number 3 and number 2. Go ahead.
So I guess my number 3 was Ballooner, and do I explain why?
Nope.
Okay, number 3 was Ballooner, and number 2 was Loop.
Great. You're going to explain on your number 1. Got it. Okay.
My number 3 was Grin, and my number 2 was Tribometrics.
Great. 4 votes, 4 companies.
Number 3 was Tribal Metrics, and number 2 was Panty Prop.
Great. 6 votes, 5 companies. Interesting.
Should I just pick 2?
Number 3? Oh.
I only saw. I didn't see 3 of them.
We're going to skip your vote for now. I'm going to have you do an honorable mention at the end. Ryan?
All right, I'll go number 3, Tribal Metrics, number 2, Loop.
Got it.
Number 3 was Loop, and number 2 was Tutor Me.
Got it. Hand that microphone to DeMont, or DeMont, use that microphone right there. Tell us what the scores are.
Tribal in first with 2 points. Oh, excuse me. Loop in first with 2 points with 2.5. Tribal with 2 points in second place, and then a couple with 1.
And how many votes did Loop burn?
3 of the 6 votes.
Right. So
3 of the 5 votes.
3 of the 5 votes. So they can improve, but they burned a lot of votes. So that's, if you get those early votes, it's nice, but you eliminate your money ball, you get the idea. So this is super Machiavellian, and that's why. It's not mean. What we're trying to do is teach people that this is really fucking hard, that there is competition, and that investors, when you're dealing with investors, it is in fact a zero-sum game. They make a certain number of investments, and if you're not better than the other people who came into their office that quarter, not month, not week, that quarter, one person a quarter gets your money. You do 2 investments a year, Josh? So every 6 months, Josh makes an investment. Okay, now, you can tell us about your number one and why you picked them.
Okay. My number one was Ballooner. And I can see a lot of, like, around, like, design thinking. Like, I worked a lot with the IDEO groups and seeing that be, like, a really valuable tool. But I also seeing, like, the value of capturing, like, anonymous data sets. Right, we do a lot of machine learning and AI investments. Like, I see that as, like, a potential really cool area for you guys to be kind of alone in on, like, anonymized workflow data sets, which is, I think, is pretty exciting.
That's an interesting observation. We haven't heard that yet. Ryan.
So I chose Grin for number one, and I think Grin is, while I have a lot of skepticism around influencer marketing in general, I think the ability for you to move with the market as it changes is really compelling, and also as you see sort of the rise of independent, almost gig workers in different fields, of different creative fields, I think there'll be a flood of people and supply in the future for you to tap into.
And that's high praise considering Ryan built a huge brand based on community building and exceptional social media. In fact, I was meeting with my social media team, and I said, just look at what Ryan did at Product Hunt. Every time he replies to somebody with that Product Hunt account, there is an animated GIF. And it makes people smile, so get to work. And they're like, okay, you want us to research animated GIFs? Yes, of course I want you to research animated GIFs. That's the best practice. Cats, whatever you millennials are doing. Okay, Josh.
I also picked Grin, and I'm not a big fan of influencer marketing either, but it's definitely a thing. And as a software guy, what I'm looking for is something that has a very clear buyer and budget, and also if you're a system of record, that's like extra points because it's very hard to rip you out. So it's very clear looking at this problem that there's somebody in companies who's managing these influencers. There's lots of systems they need to connect into. It totally makes sense that existing systems don't do that well. And if you are the system of record for that workflow and that business process, there's going to be a clear budget and a clear buyer. And I think I would expect to have pretty low churn. Also, I was very impressed with the ACV. It's way higher than I would have thought.
Amazing. Okay, and by the way, for there's 3 syndicate members here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to ask you each to pick your favorite, and that'll be 1 point at the end. Yeah, I'm calling an audible. Okay, what's the score?
Grin now pulls ahead with 4.5, still Loop with 2.5, and Tribal with 2.
All right. My number one was Panty Prop. I chose it because I agree that it's a big problem. I think that innovation in women's hygienic products is way behind. And also the numbers speak for itself. I was very impressed by the $4.5 million in revenue, the 75% margins. To be honest, I have a lot of questions on the product itself, but I think from the market size, the demographic that they're targeting, and also the traction so far, it was my top.
It's the highest amount of revenue for any company we've ever accepted, and also the lowest amount of investment that a company has had. $50,000 total raised?
To date,
Yeah. Yeah. How much had you raised?
Total?
Yeah. No, not with us, not counting our money.
Oh, it was 150.
155 million. Okay, whatever. Go ahead.
So my number one was Blackthorn. I've worked on a couple companies that deal with sort of field service workers, sales teams that are sort of out there and totally understand the pain point and can definitely appreciate when you're able to charge transaction fees on very large payment volumes, you can make a lot of money.
Okay. Where are we at, Jason?
Grin still in first place with 4.5. Panty Prop in second with 3. And then Ballooner at 2.5 and
Correct.
Loop at 2.5.
Great. And our syndicate members?
Loop.
That's 1 point more for Loop. Puts them at?
3.5.
3.5. Panty Prop, putting them at how much? 1 more point for Panty Prop?
That puts them at 4 points.
4 points. And Grin, another point for Grin, puts them at?
5.5, so that wins for Grin.
So Grin is first place?
Yep.
5.5. Big round of applause for Grin. Second place?
Panty Prop with 4 points.
Okay, and nothing else matters. Okay.
We need Joanne's honorable mentions.
An honorable mention.
So I didn't see Balloon, Grin, nor Blackthorn. So sorry about that. But I was compelled by Loop. It's actually not my area of usual investment. I usually invest in enterprise software. But I was compelled by the founder and the team. And I think the presentation made me want to take a second meeting and learn more.
And you will take meetings with the 3 that you missed. That's fantastic. Great.
Which are all enterprise software.
No points. Sorry. Nice try, though. Just one thing I was thinking about with your presentation, it was so much cerebral, like us versus them in the beginning. Next week, I want you to try just going into how awesome you are and forget about the competition. Maybe address that second. Because one of the things, just in terms of presentations or movies, anybody see this adventure movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark? Seen it? The opening scene is incredibly exciting, right? We all remember it. The boulder is chasing it, the whip, the whole thing. You want to start with what's strong, and starting already the conversation with like, oh, their product sucks. It can work, but I felt like it was dragging on how much they suck, and it's like, we're all sitting here like we missed that investment, and that's the greatest, one of the 3 greatest investments in the history of Silicon Valley. So we're like, well, it's actually kind of fucking great. So if you're going to diss the competition that we all missed investing in, I think Ryan did invest in Facebook. I'm joking. You invested in Path, exactly. So I just want you to try starting with the strongest stuff. And that's something I want you all to think about is start with what's strongest. And that's why, I was making the Trump joke about not apologizing. But the facts are the facts when you present. So just present the facts. You don't have to, contextualize them. It's one of the things that we all find, I think, as investors, super annoying when people are like, let me set the stage for you. And we're like, about photo apps? Really? Because this is the 700th photo app that's pitched me in the last decade. Like, you don't need to set the stage. For other things, you might need to set the stage a little bit if it's something we've all never experienced before or whatever it happens to be. Okay, this has been great. Now you can all stage dive and discuss follow-up meetings. Big round of applause for our judges. There for the.
We'll take 10, 15 minutes, and then Raul from Superhuman will do a talk.